we're not in there. Hello and welcome to Happy Maths Hour with Toni Beardon and myself, Caroline Ainslie. We have the most fantastic Mindset Monday, so please do listen to that if you haven't already. After the jingle, we're going to talk about reflection. It's all about reflections today, and we've got some activities that you can do in your own time. And Toni, just to let you know that it wouldn't let me upload the video, so we do need to play it on your computer or mine, if that's all right. Fingers crossed.
Why don't you play it on yours?
I could do that. I'll share mine. So we'll start off by me sharing mine before you share yours. Right. Well, after the jingle, we're going to see a silly video. We've just talked about how one of the mindset things is to not worry about what people think. Well, I'm not going to worry about what people think after the break. You're going to see me making a complete fool of myself.
Oh, no.
with reflections.
Yes.
And now I've got to find the jingle, which I hope is here because I couldn't find it earlier because I was in the wrong studio. Oh my goodness, video clips. I am in the wrong studio. Here we go. I'm going to change studios. I don't know what this means. Relax radio. I don't understand this. Anyway, here we go. It's done. See you in a minute.
It's time for a show on Relax Radio. It talks about me and you. It's time for a show on Relax Radio. It talks about me and you. So listen to us here 24 hours and let the happiness come to you on Relax Radio. Tune in to Relax Radio. Relax Radio.
Welcome back to Happy Maths Hour, and I've been given a challenge. I didn't think I'd be playing it myself, and now I can't find it. I know I downloaded it, and I know I put it into my... Oh, there it is. Found it. Here we go. Let's see if I can now play it and share it. I don't know how it's going to work out. Oh, it's going to be super weird because it's from a phone. So you're going to have to, please forgive me, share screen. Oh, yeah, no, it wouldn't let me do the video file. Application window. Here we go. It's going to be right in the middle there. So enjoy this crazy little clip. I hope. Oh, now I've got, oh no, I've added it. Add to stream. There it is. Oh my goodness. Now how do I play it? Or maybe I have to go back to the actual thing to play it. Here we go. Reflections.
It's great, Caroline.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is reflections. So this was in Cosmo Caixa in Barcelona. It was actually last year, just before lockdown. I was very lucky to have actually done this. This was in February. We'd heard about coronavirus, but we didn't really believe it's going to affect us, I suppose. And so I was there in Barcelona doing Bubbly Maths. And this exhibition was there, all about mirrors and reflections. And well, yeah, and I did that. Did I use magic? Did I use special effects? Well, actually, yes, I guess I did use special effects because it's all mirrors, isn't it? So Toni's prepared a wonderful, yes, at the moment we can see your screen, not the...
I'm going to have to stop doing this again.
Of icons.
Share screen.
Yeah.
Share screen. That's the screen I want to share. And share. Now.
Hello,
right.
Yvonne. Yvonne's here. Happy Maths Hour.
Right. Caroline, can you see my slides?
We're good. We're good now. Oh, I've got to add it. I've got to do that, haven't I? There we go. I love that picture. I really love
Well,
that
I
picture.
sat by that waterhole for hours with my husband and watched different animals come and go. And this is one of my, well, I love elephants. There you are. There's a reflection. And this show is all about reflections, different sorts of reflections. And you was just seeing Caroline with a mirror. What about this one, Caroline?
I can't tell you how much I love that picture. I've heard of Mirror Lake in Oregon, and I've seen pictures of Mirror Lake in Oregon, but it's definitely one of those places I'd love to go. But it's so smooth, you can barely tell the difference. You could turn that upside down practically, and it'd be like, okay, which way is the right way up?
It's brilliant, isn't it? It's just so tranquil. It's unlike the previous one where you saw there was ripples in the water hole, the water in there with the elephant. Now here's another one. What about that one? That's I walked along there with my husband. He took that picture 2 or 3 years ago, but imagine that 150 years ago when it was a busy canal taking lots of goods from a factory or from a farm up the canal or down the canal. Leeds and Liverpool are two big cities up in the north of England. And this is a small village through which the canal goes. Yes, I remember when I was a child, those big horses. Do you remember the big horses that used to pull the barges, Caroline?
I don't remember them from my childhood, but I have been on a pleasure cruise as an adult to experience it. And we were pulled by a horse. And the interesting thing was we had to go through a tunnel. And in the olden days, what they had to do was they would get they'd unhook the horse, who would then get taken, walked around to the other end of the tunnel. And the men would have to get on their backs on the roof of the barge, and they would use their feet to propel the barge through the tunnel.
Oh, wow.
And so we had to help in some way. I can't remember what we did. I don't remember that, but I remember vividly the story about the men literally walking their way upside down through the tunnel.
Well, I was born in 1940, and at that time, some of those big horses still pulled ploughs in the fields, as well as other brother horses being used on the canals. It was
Our horse was called Bosworth, by the way. Thanks, because we went past the Battle of Bosworth.
And then the thing that you probably do remember, Caroline, because this went on probably into the 50s, 60s, even 70s, that some of the breweries kept these big Shire horses, didn't they?
Yes, they did. And actually they have them, they still do. They still have them as they have these proper wooden carts, and they have these Shire horses. They have them in Denmark as well, as part of the promotion. Like, it's a way of promoting the product, and it's all very, very ceremonial and very beautiful.
Well, they were wonderful, those horses. And now I think there you are, Caroline, more of you and this mirror exhibition in Barcelona. And there you are in your Bubbles the Clown gear. And I've put several of these in. I mean, now you see that one was Caroline, and you've got mirrors behind mirrors behind mirrors. And so you see, it's a little like the Hall of Mirrors in Versailles, that effect. Although Caroline isn't in this beautiful sort of 1700, 1800 gown. Now this is a young couple. But now you see mirrors in the round, and you can see reflections of the same people all the way around. That's interesting, isn't it? We call that a kaleidoscope. Sorry, Caroline. I was going to say we call it a kaleidoscope effect.
Yeah. I'm just setting up. Yeah. Sorry.
Caroline's going to show us
a demo. I'm setting up a camera. And I just realised I'm going to start with this one because it's the fiddliest one to do. And
she's going to show us some wonderful demonstrations of this in a minute. And while she's setting up the visualizer, the camera, I will show you another few. Here's Caroline again, 2 views of Caroline between the mirrors. And you can see multiple reflections of Caroline. So we're getting more than our money's worth. Lots and lots of Carolines. I think it's brilliant. Caroline, I think what we should do is to have your demonstration after the break. What do you think?
Yeah, that's fine. And then I can just get that right just after.
Yes,
during the break. That's
I think.
yeah.
I mean, I've just seen. It wasn't there in Barcelona, and I've just seen your pictures. I mean, it was extremely clever the way they put these mirrors there, and obviously they had calculated very carefully how people could walk through this museum and stand in the right place and get these multiple reflections. Must have been a lot of fun, Caroline.
It was, you would have loved it. You and Alan would have had an absolute blast. It's the sort of thing you just want to take your children to, and you want to take everyone to. It's one of those traveling exhibitions. So, yes, so it was there temporarily, although some of the Maca, because it was, some of the exhibits were set up by my friends from Maca, the Catalonian Maths Museum, and what am I saying? It was mind blowing. It really was quite.
But actually, so one would have to be. What a pity it isn't in. Well, not a pity, but being a bit selfish, you'd be very lucky to catch up with it if it's in a travelling roadshow type.
Yes, it's not a permanent fixture, I'm afraid. And the other thing is, of course, goodness knows what happened last year, because whatever the plans were, they wouldn't have come about in the long run. So, yeah, what a crazy year we've had.
But isn't it great that nowadays we can? I mean, a few years ago, we would have just gone through that exhibition and we'd have memories of it, and it would be, in our minds. But we wouldn't have been we wouldn't have had smartphones to take pictures like this.
And so they allowed us to. Sometimes you go to places and they don't allow you to take pictures.
Oh, that's true. That's true. But here, I mean, it's wonderful to actually stand there. And of course, there are other mirrors. You sometimes go into places where they distort you and you look terribly fat or terribly thin. Yeah. Or
the whole mirrors, yeah. Okay, I've got this set up, so that's good.
Well, I think we'll have the jingle, Caroline, and then we'll come back to you.
It's time for jingle. Okay. Thank you. And it's here.
On Relax Radio, it talks about me and you. It's time for a show on Relax Radio, it talks about me and you. So listen to us, 24 hours, and let the happiness come to you. On Relax Radio, tune in to Relax Radio. Relax Radio.
Right. So do you want to do this now, Toni? Is that what you'd like to do? Okay.
Well, I think I'm seeing your Father Christmas. Well,
you are, but it's upside down. Now wait a minute. That wasn't quite the plan. Let me see, where is the actual camera? Is it there? And let's see.
So Caroline's got a cardboard box and just some very cheap mirrors. And she's going to do some wonderful things with them.
I'm going to show you the effect, and then I'm going to show you how I did it. And I just realized I really do need to cut that other mirror because it really is in the way. I'm using my visualizer, and I'll show you just how. Oh, look at that. Oh dear.
Caroline, Caroline, sweetie, I think it must have cost, that exhibition you were talking about in Spain, it would have cost thousands of euros to set it up.
Oh,
much
absolutely.
how much does this cost you, Caroline?
Let me see. I've got a box that I didn't pay for. I bought 12 mirrors. They're literally just little
Yes, but
mirrors,
you
and they're
actually
plastic
only
mirrors.
need 2, don't you, really?
Well, for this, yes, for this you only need 2. I bought 12 because I'm doing lots of different things with them, but they're just plastic mirrors. And we worked out you could do this. It wouldn't be as clear, but you could actually do this with silver foil on cardboard.
Caroline,
old
I tried
televisions
it.
apparently.
I tried it with plastic foil, not plastic foil, aluminium foil, kitchen foil. I tried it, and it doesn't work terribly well, but it does work. And so you can actually do it very cheaply in your school, even if you haven't got much to spend. And probably somebody in your household has got one of these vanity mirrors. That's what we call them anyway. Caroline, sorry, I've diverted you from Father Christmas.
It's fine. This is the real Father Christmas right here, and you can see he's looking at the mirror behind. But if you look behind him, you can see that his head, the back of his head, and then behind that, if you can just about see that, you can see his eyes. So he's facing himself for the first one. And then again, and then again, and then again, and again, and then what did I just do? Something lovely happened. I can't remember what. He fell over, or was it the angle? We changed the angle. We're seeing different things. I don't remember, but
bird's eye view or something.
Yes. Yeah, I'm literally using my visualizer, and then we're seeing the bit of the video. Seeing a bit of the video. This is not. If you seeing it in person is a lot easier, if you perhaps even have a hole or something, but you can see, and it actually goes on forever because it's just limited by the quality of the mirrors. That's all.
And you can see lots of mirrors, Caroline, but you've only got 2 mirrors in this display, haven't you?
Now I'm going to show you the setup. So there's the setup. I've got one mirror here. I've got my little Santa Claus. It could be anything. I've got another mirror here. And I've just used a cardboard box, and I thought I've also got this pretty little thing. I didn't know what. I think the Santa works better because he's got some height. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Let's see. It's kind of hard to get the visual. Oh, that's not bad.
It's pretty. It's lovely.
It yeah. So, but you don't see the difference with Santa. You could clearly see that which was the front and which was the back. Whereas with that, you can just see that. You have one close, and you have the reflection, and again the reflection, and again the reflection. Just test with lots of different things, and all you need is a cardboard box and 2 mirrors. And you can use the vanity mirrors as well. Just the normal ones that you find in the shop, in the corner shop. Right. So now what else? Oh, something that I forgot I had, Toni, was what we used on Sunday, and we have this. I'll just put this here. Just show this really quickly. We had these. This is actually a part of. We've done algebra area, haven't we, on the Happy Maths Hour? But this is something new that we came up with. So we've got these shapes. Now they're actually the same area, and slightly different front and back because the blue's on top left corner there, and the blue's on right top corner there. But if you look at the reflection, you can look at the reflection in different. You've got these different ones. They're 2 different patterns. You can see all the different possibilities, depending whether it's 180 degrees or going around that way as well. And then you've also got of course you've got not just reflections, but you've got rotations as well. So that was
what Caroline has very cleverly done there is she has, with one mirror, she's been able to demonstrate reflections, but she's also prepared the rectangles so that if she turns it over, you can see the reflection as well.
Yeah.
And you can see in the mirror that that's what it is, and then she can do it by actually physically rotating it as well. So you can see that actually there's one arrangement of these squares and rectangles, But what we were looking at is reflections and rotations of that same pattern. So that's lovely, Caroline. Well, you know, a very nice demonstration.
So there's that. And now we've got our coup de grace, is it? We hope. We're going to see.
Now we're doing this. We're doing this sort of on the cheap because we haven't got any money anyway. But the main thing is that you can do it at home with your children if you want to, or if you're a teacher, you can do this in school, and it costs you very little to get the mirrors, and then just some cardboard boxes help you. And Caroline's got the 2 parts of the box that are hinged together now, so she can have mirrors, and she can change the angle, and she's going to show you some now different effects.
I haven't even hinged them together. I literally just have a box. All I got is just a box, cardboard box. I've cut off the top, and what I've done in this corner is I've stuck 2 mirrors in that corner there. So I'm going to put the visualizer in here and hope it's the right way up. That would be a bonus. Okay, now I'm going to start with a tetrahedron, which is just a triangular base pyramid. I'm going to put it against, actually I'll just put it against this mirror here so that maybe that will be easier to see. No, well, that's not very interesting. It's just a tetrahedron sitting on a mirror. Well, that's not very interesting. What happens if I put it here? Get my hand out of the way, get the mirror facing the right way.
So you can see its reflection, and it's a shape which has now 6 faces, and they're all triangles. That's the triangular based pyramid called a tetrahedron and its reflection.
And now we're going to take something that we're all familiar with, the pyramids in Egypt. So square base, well, they're actually rectangular based pyramids, but square based pyramid here. What is that going to look like when we see its reflection in these reflected mirrors?
No,
a bit hard to see. Let me see if I can move the camera, so you can.
Yes, if you could possibly move the camera, it might help, Caroline. So what we want to see is the square base pyramid and its reflection. And now we'll have 8 faces in this.
That's the idea.
We'll have 8 faces, and they're all triangles, but it's different from the one you just saw, which only had 6 faces. Now this is
on that one. There we go. On that one.
That's better if you can possibly hold it there with taking one of your hands away so you don't obscure it with the hand. There you go. Well, yes. The trouble is, Caroline doesn't have a cameraman, so she needs about 5 hands to move the camera, and so that's a solid, and it's regular, and it's you can cut it through with a square in different ways, and you get the octahedron. Octa because there are 8 faces. Well, Caroline, what about your cubes? You did your cubes.
I've got my itty little cube here. This is my trusty little cube. It's 1 centimeter cube. It's 1 centimeter on every edge. And what's going to happen if I put it here? What do you think is going to happen? Let's see. I'm going to push it closer. You can see it going in a bit closer.
The good thing about this is that she can take her hand away and we can see it.
Yes.
We've got 4 cubes now. 4 for the price of 1.
The dimensions are 1 by 2 by 2. So I've got 1 high, and it's 2 long and 2 wide. Now, how could we make that into an actual cube that's either 1 by 1 by 1? Well, if that is 1 by 1 by 1, what's the next thing that we can make a cube? It would be a 2 by 2 by 2. Well, thought about that, and I thought, well, what happens if I make a 2 by 1 by 1? Then what would happen? What if I put it that way? Well, that's not quite.
Well, that's a cuboid, isn't it?
It's a cuboid, and it's 1 by 2 by 4.
Yes.
So what if I do that?
Caroline, you've got another 1 cube now. Isn't that clever? 2 by 2 by 2.
Hooray. And then this is something we do with a different workshop. I've got I call it 100 cube. Every face is 100 square centimeters. Now let's see if we can see this. This is a challenge. So you're going to have to visualize it a little bit.
Well, we can see most of it, Caroline. And of course, there were 100 of those little, no, what am I saying? 1,000 of those little ones in this big one.
Yes. But is it a cube?
No. Is it a cube? No, it's 2 by 2 by 1.
10 high. Yes, it's 2 by 1 by
20
2 by
20 by 20 by 10, if you like.
yeah. And so what we have to do to make it a cube, I'll leave that with you. And now I'm going to turn it around to this little corner here. So I've got some little paper and a mirror. All we've got is paper. I found paper with a detailed design. I'm sure you can find all kinds of different designs. Just use a piece of cloth, but it must be nice and straight, I think. And we've got a mirror there. And what I've got is a mirror in my hand. So just an extra mirror. Again, you can only use the same 2 mirrors, but obviously I had to have them set up. So
Caroline, now it's looking kaleidoscopic.
Yeah, you mentioned the kaleidoscope earlier. Let's see, what have we got? We've got 1, 2, well, we've kind of got 4 squares again, haven't we? And
this is amazing. Yes, 4 squares.
Correct, Toni. I've got my markers here.
Now, what are you going to do, Caroline? You're going to move the these faces of the box and move the mirrors to different angles.
I'm just going to move this mirror here.
Okay. Now, Caroline's changing the angle between the mirrors, and look what you're seeing. You're seeing more copies of the same pattern now, and like the couple we saw in the museum, and we saw reflections of those, multiple reflections, but all around them, not just in a long line. And as Caroline changes that,
we are on the spot to film it. There we go. There.
Right. Now she has got reflections of that. Is that?
There's 6 there.
6 reflections. And so she's got her angle of 60 degrees, which means she's got 6 reflections. And now, well, you could get 8 reflections, Caroline, but you've got a bit more than that at the moment.
I know, this should be 8. This is 40.
45. It's 45 for 8.
45. Okay, I'll make it a bit bigger. Is that it? There it is.
Yes, that looks it. Yes. So she's got 8 reflections now, and that's with her mirror at 45 degrees, because 8 times 45 is 360.
Yes. And now I think I've got enough light. I had to do some hickory-pokery with the light.
And she's getting more and more. How many have you got now, Caroline? Oh.
I should have, in theory, this is 22.5-ish.
So that should be 16.
That should be 16, but I've got my mirror's a little bit bent. The join isn't exact, but you can see those straight lines.
Yes.
4, 6, 8, 10, 12, not exactly certain. It's not perfect, but you get the idea. And a child can be looking through here and really, really see. Actually, it looks, and you can take pictures with a camera, and actually it looks better with the camera than it does looking at it direct, because the mirrors are a little bit wobbly. Actually, you're getting a better view. You are getting a better view with the camera than I am getting by looking directly at it. But if I now, this is very powerful. I can see this very clearly with my.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's a great demonstration. But how exciting this would be for children at home playing around, and all you need is some simple props, a couple of mirrors, and these, you know, very, very simple ways of sort of moving them at different angles. And the children will learn so much about angles and about reflections. And in the school maths, we do learn about reflections and rotations and translations, which we'll talk about a bit more. And then this comes into real life in applications in crystallography and, well, in art too. And it's such an important topic in a lot of applications of mathematics, and it's something which makes the maths come alive for children if they do it themselves. So either at home or in groups in the classroom. It doesn't cost much to set this up. It doesn't take a lot of time either, but in groups of children could work on it. I think we're time's up for our second jingle, Caroline.
Do that, but I just wanted to say that I used the boxes because we had to have straight lines. We needed 90 degrees, and that occurred to me to use the boxes to get that. So without having to construct it, and that's why I use the boxes. And off to the jingle. After the break, we're going to be doing more reflections.
It's time for a show on Relax Radio. It talks about me and you. It's time for a show on Relax Radio. It talks about me and you. So listen to us here 24 hours and let the happiness come to you on Relax Radio. Tune in to Relax Radio. Relax Radio.
Welcome back to Happy Maths Hour. Toni and I are here talking about reflections today. We've just done a demonstration of how you can make some amazing reflections, kaleidoscope, infinity mirrors in your own home. So if you haven't seen that, go back, rewind, play the last section. Toni, you've got more exciting things for us.
Indeed, yes. Here we go. It's there. Can you see my screen?
Ooh, yes.
So you've just done this with the demonstration with your two mirrors at an angle, and now you can see this demonstration in the museum with this couple here, the girl with the backpack, and reflections of them. You can see the same effects there. And we'll look at the theory of this in a minute. But what you see very clearly there is a hexagon, a six-sided shape around this couple, and there's mirrors. There's two mirrors at 60 degrees, and it's producing this effect that is really fascinating.
It was a hexagonal prism, so you were going through a tunnel that was hexagonal in shape. And let me tell you, I had quite a lot of trepidation about entering it because it felt as though you were going to step into space. You didn't you could see in every direction going off to infinity. And it was like, if I step on this floor, I'm going to fall through it. It was really quite amazing. Sense of space.
Yes, now I'm very intrigued. I'm absolutely intrigued by that because I was thinking the angle was 60, and I'll have to think again because your tunnel, it seems to me, if it was a hexagon, then the angles would be 120. Interesting, that, isn't it? So here we have the picture that we've already seen, but here it described the tunnel for us, Caroline. This was just parallel mirrors, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm not actually sure if this was the same place. It must have been the same place because
I think so.
Of course, no. This was simply the two parallel ones with the floor and the ceiling. So I was taking a photograph facing directly upwards, so you could see infinity below me. But the thing is, you also had an infinite amount of them in all directions because you also had two parallel. You had 3 sets of 2 parallel mirrors with the hexagon. So it was really quite bizarre. Very
There's your
fascinating.
hexagon. Oh, and there's another one. And Caroline again, just a different angle. Oh, we're going back to things we've seen before. Let's go this way. Now, here we go, because we're going to look into the theory a little bit now. And the question that we're asking is, why do reflections in 2 parallel mirrors combine to give a translation? Now, Caroline showed this with Father Christmas. And here you see a girl in a similar display to the one that you saw Caroline in, not quite as complicated. She's not exactly in a tunnel. She's just between, taking those photos, but she's just between parallel mirrors. And as you see, alternate reflections, she's facing you, and not everyone, but only every other one is she facing you. And in the others, she has got her shoulder sort of half turned away from you. And when we talk about 2 reflections making a translation, what we mean is that a translation just moves something along without turning it. So if you look at the picture of that young woman facing you, and then you just push it back, imagine her being sort of pushed back but not turning at all, the 2 reflections give you a translation. And so this is a little bit of an illustration. We put these up to challenge people to think, and on Aiming High. And if you go to the Aiming High website and go to Mirror, you can search for that, or you can use this link, and there'll be a lot more about these ideas. And the reason it says activity for all there is we believe that quite young children can start finding out and seeing and getting excited by mathematics without making it complicated for them. So children can describe and explain what they see in that mirror, even if they're 5 or 6 years old, or even younger. And you don't have to complicate it with the maths that's on the left. And we'll come back to the answer to that question in a few minutes. But what the challenge is there is to try it out for yourself. And that's just exactly what you were doing, wasn't it, Caroline? Trying it out for yourself.
And you can use a teddy bear or something to be the woman in the mirror. And her positioning is so perfect, though, isn't it, Toni?
Yes.
It's really so easy to see that her reflection alternates.
Yes. And
90, she's at an angle of 90 degrees, it looks like, or 45 degrees, and then the reflection is 90 degrees to herself. And if you look up closely at this, you can see it goes on and on and on and on forever. So it's a lot clearer photo than the one with the hexagons, because the hexagons, there was images everywhere. Whereas here, there's just one long line of images.
Yes, and this brings to mind this this children's story, Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, who is the fairest of them all? And that's if you go to this
Cinderella. Oh wait, it wasn't Cinderella.
wasn't it Snow White? I think it was Snow White.
Snow White.
Yes. The Wicked Witch in the mirror. Yes. And so there's a link. Oh, there's a link on this resource on Aiming High to a song which is called Mirror, Mirror on the Wall. It's jazz, and I like it actually, so I put the link on it. And here's the same picture, a bit larger, so you can see the effect there. As we said, she's moved without turning, translated, but it's 2 reflections that give the translation, and that picture shows it very clearly. And the no smoking sign is reflected too, again and again.
Oh, yes, it's the other way around. You can see the diagonal changing. The Aiming High link is in the description, so you can click on that and then search for Mirror Mirror.
Now, this is famous. This is hundreds of years old. Louis XIV, Hall of Mirrors, which he had built in Versailles. And you can see one picture on the left, which just shows the hall itself. And now just think about it, if you're able to see it and not just listening on the radio. This picture shows a group of people in the far distance at the other end of the hall. And the person taking the photo is in the real group, taking the photo, and right at the other end, there's a reflection of the group, okay, far away along the hall. You can see it's just one hall, and look at the ceiling, you'll see there the design on the ceiling. But on the right, it's different.
That didn't, because earlier I didn't get it too clearly. Sorry, not one lamp. There's 3 lamps. So if you look on the left, you see 3 lamps, and there's only 3 lamps.
And on the right, there's reflections, as you saw Father Christmas reflected, and as you just saw the girl reflected. There's multiple reflections backwards and forwards, because now we've got 2 parallel mirrors here. And as you see from the lights, the ceilings, look at it, it's many, many, many receding into the distance. So
it's going on forever.
Yes.
But it isn't. It's one effect, my goodness.
It's, yes. So that had people spellbound, because it was so mysterious and miraculous to them that you could get these wonderful reflections. They could see themselves again and again and again in all their finery at the court of King Louis. Okay, now here we've got different patterns, and they are deceptive, because on the one on the left, it looks as if you've got a rose, and in the one in the mirror, it looks as if you've got some sort of flower with 6 petals, but they're not. They're just formed with 2 mirrors, as Caroline showed you, and the difference between these 3 patterns is the angle between the mirrors. And so you've got lots of symmetry here, and this time it's not reflection, it's not symmetry by reflection, it's symmetry by rotation. And we're going to talk a bit more about this after the break, but it's now time for the next break.
So after the break, symmetry by rotation and the science and maths of kaleidoscope. Welcome back to Happy Maths Hour. Today it's all about reflections. The resource is called Mirror Mirror on the Aiming High website. The link is in the comments below. Toni, tell us about these beautiful symmetrical.
Can you still see the slide, Caroline?
You can see the slide. It's absolutely spectacular.
Well, on the one in the middle, there are 2 mirrors at 60 degrees. And because there are 60 times 6 is 360, and you've got multiple reflections, but they're not repeating themselves in parallel mirrors so that they're going and receding into the distance infinitely far away. They're repeating the repeats round and round and round. And we talked about cycles before when we were doing Pathway to the Stars, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we're back to Monday. And in 7 days' time, we'll be doing another of these shows. But this is a cycle of 6, is a pattern which repeats itself round and round, not every 7 days, but every 6. And here you get your sort of blue and purple flower with, oh, it's got some orange and green. It's a 6-fold symmetry, and some people say rotational symmetry. Some people say the order of rotation is 6.
And it's the two mirrors, and that's just make it 60-degree angle. And I secured one to a box, and then just moved the other one had a guide on the floor, and just find some really nice cloth and have a go.
Yes, it's a lot. It's no end to the different designs you can get with this very simple experiment. Now on the left, the rose there has got 9-fold symmetry. So if you divide 9 into 360, you get 40 degrees. So to get that pattern, you put your 2 mirrors at 40 degrees, and there you'll see a pattern which appears to have 9 petals and has got rotational symmetry, 9-fold rotational symmetry, or rotational symmetry of order 9. Now you have to concentrate and count all the way around the one on the right, but this isn't like 12 hours on the clock or 12 months of the year cycle like that. This is a cycle here of 16. You'll see the same pattern repeated 16 times. And I've just realized, Caroline, it looks like your Father Christmas 16 times.
Oh, it does, doesn't it? Oh, yes. How lovely.
That wasn't deliberate. I just saw it this minute.
And that's about that angle between your mirrors ish. You use a protractor.
Yes.
We just moved the mirror until we saw the 16 images, didn't we? And it wasn't perfect, so we're doing it by hand.
But you can see the right angles there, can't you? And you can see the right angles, 90 degrees, divided into 4, making a 22.5 degrees. So you've got your 4 Father Christmases in each quarter, which gives you 16 Father Christmases altogether.
4 Father Christmases per quadrant.
Yes, they are. So you've got 3 good illustrations there of this kaleidoscope pattern. And it's really, we should be talking about David Brewster now. He lived in the 18th century. He was born in 1781, and he lived to 1868. So he obviously did a lot of work with mirrors, just like Caroline did, and maybe he started off experimenting in a similar way with just a couple of mirrors to see what effects. But of course, there was quite a lot of research going on into making better telescopes and better microscopes, and so it was very important research. It wasn't just playing and making patterns. And David Brewster was an inventor as well as being a very serious scholar, academic. And he wrote about his experiments. He did work in optics. He studied the polarization of light, which has quite a lot of important applications. He studied crystals, and I don't know anything about these sciences, not much at all, just a little bit from school physics. But crystals are very important because this is the stuff that matter is made of, and the way crystals fit together depends on the symmetries that we've just been talking about. We've just been thinking about symmetries, haven't we, in these patterns, and we've been looking at reflection as and mirror lines as lines of symmetry, and we've been looking at rotation, where we have got rotational symmetry with the pattern repeating itself. We saw 9-fold, we saw 6-fold, we saw 16-fold symmetry there. And the way things fit together, you've only got certain angles that you can make into a packing, so you can pack these crystals or shapes together, and that's what we call packing, or it's like in tiling a wall. What shapes can you tile a wall with? So there's decorative or artistic applications, but there's also serious applications in chemistry and physics. I don't know what.
Did you know they use bubble foam to? They still don't know the absolute optimum shape for packing, like in foam. So this is literally the foam industry that makes foam for beds and furniture, and they're investing still. And I think there's a prize for the person that gets the ideal shape, and it's based on, at the moment, the one they found is based on pentagonal and hexagonal tunnels, much like the fullerene, but it's actual tunnels. You've got this tunnel of pentagonal shapes going through, and then around it you've got these hexagonal shapes and interspersed with other pentagonal shapes. But they don't think that's the best one they found so far, but they don't think it's the absolute optimum one. They're still looking. And they use to find
that's really interesting, Caroline. Well, my husband did some research with a man called Ken Stevenson, a mathematician in Tennessee, and we went to a conference with medical doctors, people in IT, and mathematicians. And it was fascinating because what they were studying was the brain. Now, would you believe it? You've got circle packing. So you were talking about bubble packing. This was about circle packing because the brain is actually crinkly. I mean, the surface of the brain is where a lot of important things happen which enable us to do all we can do as human beings. And it's a very crinkly surface, and it's very hard to pinpoint. You can't sort of use a grid like a graph to say in either 2D or 3D to say that's where that point is, because the surface of the brain is sort of going into little cracks and crevices, and get a piece of, I don't know, we were talking about silver foil, and crinkle it up, and then so how would you map it? How would you refer to where you were talking about in the brain if you'd found a spot that was actually critical for some reason or other, as a doctor, as a neurosurgeon or a neurologist? And so they'd called in the mathematicians who were doing, would you believe it, circle packing. But if you make some of those circles really small, and I don't know, they understand the maths and do all that packing, then you've got the IT people there who do it on a computer. Well, that's what they were trying to. I don't know whether it led to success. Anyway, going back to Brewster, he was working on photoelasticity, and I don't know what that was, and that led to the modern science of optical mineralogy. He's called the father of modern experimental optics, and one of the things he invented was this toy called a kaleidoscope. And this now in Victorian England was a very popular toy. And they named it because scholars in those days were often scholars of the classics, not mathematics. and they liked to give Greek names to new inventions. So they used the word kalos, which means beautiful. And I think you'll agree these patterns were really beautiful. Then they used this middle word, eidos, which is that which is seen, a form or a shape. And finally, the word scopio, and I think that's occurred in other English words, the scope of something, and it means something like to look at or to examine. And of course, in telescope, you've got the same word, haven't you? Because you use a telescope to look at the stars. So that's where you're using scope in a similar way. And so altogether, those Greek words making one word, which is comes to mean something like for the observation of beautiful forms. And there's a picture I got off Amazon, actually, of a toy kaleidoscope there. And you can see that the cylinder at the near end, you can rotate. You can shake it, and it's got coloured little bauble bits inside, different colours. And you can rotate that cylinder there. And I think you can rotate the angles between the mirrors, and you can certainly shake the bits around so they form numerous different patterns. I mean, well, you could go on and on and on doing that. And it's a
kaleidoscope, you need to get one. Some way, somehow, get yourself a kaleidoscope. They are magical toys.
It's a cheap little toy, and it's really very little tiny children. It's fun because every time they pick it up and look at it, they can make a different pattern, and then they perhaps can draw the patterns that they've seen. And you can do this with a bigger. You can do the sort of experiment with the type of box and a couple of mirrors, like Caroline did, and you can then start to make designs in art. There's lots of fun to be had there, and then you can get a little more advanced and think about, well, what are these angles actually, and why does this happen this way? And we're just about on 6 o'clock, Caroline.
We are. So have we decided what we're doing next week, Toni?
Oh, well, we talked about it, but I think I've forgotten what we're not going to, but next week, but another time we're going to do reflections, but then we're going to do reflections in curved mirrors, and lenses, and not just these flat little mirrors.
You're giving me a real there, huh?
But we'll be back with you next week.
We'll be back making maths fun, making maths intriguing, enjoyable, and hopefully giving you lots of great ideas. Now, the resource, on the Aiming High website, the link to the Aiming High website is in the description. The resource is look for Mirror Mirror, and you can take that resource into a classroom or during homework time or at home, and it gives you great instructions, gives you key questions to ask to guide learning, as opposed to just telling. You don't need to know. You can allow your learner to learn along with you. That's the way it's designed to work.
Caroline, I think we could just finish off with this. We've still got 1 minute. That if you look at the blue flag, right, and it reflects in mirror 1 to B2. The first reflection is in mirror 1. And then if you reflect B2 in mirror 2, can you see that B2 and B3 are reflections of each other? And B1 it moves by a translation to B3. But that's 2 reflections.
It's 2 reflections. So the result is the effect is a translation is actually a reflection of B2. B3 is actually a reflection of B2. to a long mirror too, and it just keeps going on. And yeah, and it's
See now with R1, which is reflected in the other mirror first to give you R2, and then R2 is so this time it's mirror 2 first, and then you reflect in mirror 1, and you go to R3. So the order of the reflections is R1 to R2 and then R2 to R3. But when you have 2 reflections there, it's again a translation from R1 to R3. But look, it's going from right to left, whereas the blue flags are translated from left to right.
and the actual effect is that whichever way you look, there's an infinite amount of reflections.
And we're going to finish off with the prisms.
Okay. And yeah, so what you can do is, the challenge to you is to create this, make these shapes and make any shape you like and put them on a mirror and see what happens, and think what shape they're going to be, and then test them. How about that, Toni?
Absolutely. Or take some photographs of reflections in water.
We'd better go before we get kicked out. Next week, everybody. So we love math so much we can't stop. Take photographs, great idea. And take photographs of the reflections that you create yourselves on a mirror. Oh, and AIMSEC. And the AIMSEC is everything's on the Aiming High website. Enjoy.
Goodbye, everybody. See you next week.
Bye-bye.